Uncertainty hangs over government services today after the Umbrella Trade Union Congress threatened to begin a nationwide strike this morning over the new NHIF rates. The union announced that talks with the government over the suspension of the new rates had collapsed. The Trade Union Congress brings together the Union of the Kenya Civil Servants, the Kenya National Union of Teachers and the University's Academic Staff Union, UASU. The unions accused the government of disowning an earlier agreement to suspend the implementation of the new rates. This move to raise NHIF rates has been seen as subject to heated row for teachers, for instance, seeking to be exempted since they have procured their own comprehensive medical cover. The government, however, insists that suspending the new rates would deny other Kenyans the intended benefits of the scheme.
Currently, the payroll generates 8 billion for NHIF annually. And so it's supposed to be forced to generate 26 billion without government putting any cent. Is that fairness? Because you cannot use impoverished workers as a source of revenue to run government program. That's fundamentally what we are saying. You cannot use workers to midwife universal health care. The constitution is clear. Health care is the responsibility of the government.
And in Kakamega, teachers have welcomed the decision to have their basic pay increased from 50 to 60%. The teachers have termed the ruling as a breakthrough for the profession that has been fighting for better wages for more than 15 years. Dorcas Wangira now joins us from Kakamega.
Wilson Sosion, Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, has called it the beginning of the liberation for teachers, a 50 to 60% salary increment as ruled by the industrial court. This is Kakamega Primary School, and I'd want to find out from one of the teachers, Ms. Naita Buga, what does this mean for you?
Actually, yesterday we were excited after we heard the court that had ruled that teachers are going to give in their salary increment. However, we were disappointed after the government say that they're going to appeal. Actually, for us, that is a bad news for us. However, we expect that the government is going to be positive about this because teachers have fought for 15 years, imagine. So we are just praying that the Kenya government is going to consider this and take this as very seriously. Yeah.
There are those who say that you hit gold, you're going to become instant millionaires. What do you say to them?
I don't think so. I don't think so. As you know, that teachers actually, the teaching profession entails a lot. You know, even the population that we teach in our classroom is very big. So I believe the teachers' workload is a lot. And to that, I don't think teachers are going to become millionaires. That's not true. That's not true at all.
Well, we'll also be speaking to another teacher in the same institution and ask him what he thinks about it. So, sir.
What's mine?
How do you feel about this? How's your reaction?
We are happy. The only thing we are thinking about is how are they going to implement that and when will it take place, the implementation.
Well, initially, NAT had asked for 300% salary increment.
Yeah.
You're only getting 50 to 60. So do you feel that that is a disappointment?
It is indeed a disappointment. We expected much higher than that. And we don't know what the backdating, whether it will cater for that. Yeah.
So as they have said, this is something that has been met with a lot of mixed reactions. At first it was good news until the government's decision to want to appeal it. So up until this salary increment is in their pockets, it can be a liberation for teachers. Dorcas Wangira, KTN, Kakamega Primary School, Kakamega.
And the Kenya National Union of Teachers says Tuesday's ruling is not the end of their fight for better working conditions for teachers. NAT Secretary General Wilson Sosion says teachers are ready to go on strike again for even better conditions and to advocate for the rights of the students and parents.
We've been vindicated by the court because the court, the judge in his own ruling said very clearly that teachers have suffered from injustices over the years. Even the annual increment, which is automatic of 4%, that the Treasury stated, has not been granted teachers. We've been treated as lesser Kenyans. To us, this ruling, the content of the ruling, and the key issues that were observed by the court marks the beginning of sanity in the teaching service. And we have been vindicated before Kenyans.
And still on court rulings, and a big one is pending in Eldoret. The court is set to rule over the controversial land at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. The issue has seen the KO Teachers SACCO and the Kenya prisons embroiled in a legal battle over the land. Our reporter Marcy Kandie has been following up on this case and brings us the details.
Today, a major ruling is set to happen here in Uasin Gishu County. Two groups have been in court over a 100-acre piece of land. This is the KO Teachers SACCO and Kenya Prisons. The KO Teachers SACCO said this 100-acre piece of land they bought way back in 2004. They bought it at a cost of 52 million shillings, this being the savings of about over 52 teachers from Uasin Gishu County and Elgeyo Marakwet County. But as soon as they wanted to develop this piece of land, then the Kenya prisons brought in their part, saying that this 100-acre piece of land is theirs. So yes, they have been in court, and today the ruling will be unique because it will happen at the Kiplombe farm. This is what is known as the Block 10 area within Uasin Gishu County. We've talked to Fidelis Kimutai, who's the chairman of the KO Teachers SACCO, and he says he remains hopeful that the over 52 teachers will walk happy today, will walk home happy, and they hope that the directive by the court will be ruled in their favor. Keep it KTN for more information as we update you on this land matter. From Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County, my name is Marcy Kandie.
Elsewhere, one passenger died on the spot and 16 others are admitted at Nkubu Consolata Mission Hospital following an accident along the Meru-Embu Highway. 4 of those admitted are students at Nkubu Boys High School. The accident involved a 7-seater van and a matatu. It occurred at around 6:30 p.m. at Mariara area, some few kilometers from Meru town. The residents now want the government to put up bumps on this road, which they claim has led to loss of many lives.
Juzi pikipiki zimegongana hapa na gari ingine ikafanya accident, au mavijana they are unconscious saizi. So every week lazima kutakuwa na accident kama mbili hivi. So tunaweza waomba kwa kuna shule mingi hapa hivi. Hiyo college, kuna high school ingine hapa na kuna zingine hapa mbili. So tunaweza waomba tu wajue vile watatuwekea bumps hapa hivi.
And let us cross borders a bit. Burundi voted for a new parliament Monday in the midst of a political crisis surrounding Nkurunziza's 3rd term in office. European Union has threatened to withhold funds after the country ignored calls to postpone the polls. Rita Tinina has the details.
Arriving in a bike to cast his vote, Burundian President Pierre Nkurunziza's defiant bid for a 3rd term has led to unrest in the country, a country that has experienced weeks of violence following a failed coup in which more than 70 people were killed. In polling stations in Bujumbura, queues were short and turnout sparse, with election officials at times outnumbering voters.
Today we have completed an important project which showed that in the end the democracy and the electoral process are taking root in terms of behavior and in terms of the political aspect of the people of Burundi.
Ruling party campaign chief and election commission chief both stated that the electorate participated massively in the elections. However, opposition leader Pacifique Ninina Hazwe, who organized anti-government protests before fleeing into exile, says that the regime is inventing the numbers, adding that the opposition had no regard for the elections. The polls took place despite international calls to have it held off. The European Union warned that polls would only exacerbate the profound crisis, while former colonial power Belgium says that the polls were not credible and could further divide the country. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon earlier called for the voting to be delayed as Burundi faces its worst crisis ever since civil war ended 9 years ago. Almost 4 million people were registered to vote, but the opposition boycotted the polls as they did in the last elections in 2010, claiming that it was not possible to hold a fair vote. Civil society groups backed the boycott in a joint statement calling on voters to skip the quote-unquote sham elections and urging the international community to not recognize the validity of the polls.
Everywhere, and especially in the areas of Bujumbura, there have been kidnappings, arrests, torture. Families don't know where the relatives have been imprisoned in the various prisons throughout the country. We cannot know the number, but there are many, especially from the last few days due to the elections.
Nous ne pouvons pas savoir le nombre, mais ils sont nombreux, surtout dans ces derniers jours en rapport avec les élections.
The African Union refused to send observers, saying that necessary conditions were not met for the organization of free, fair, and transparent, credible elections. The Election Commission says that results are expected within 3 or 4 days. Sharon Momanyi, KTN.
Elsewhere, the Institute of Education and Democracy wants President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint a selection of panel to fast-track the process of picking a substantive registrar of political parties. They claim this process is long overdue. Lucy Ndungu has been acting registrar for the last 4 years. According to IED's Executive Director Brian Weke, political parties are facing numerous challenges due to a lack of a substantive head to streamline the sector. The group says that current registrar is in office illegally. Pressure has been mounting on the president from various quarters to appoint a substantive registrar, including the Center for Multi-Party Democracy and the Law Society of Kenya, who have claimed that the registrar has failed to tame political parties that condone electoral malpractices. Brian Weke has now promised to go to court if the president does not start this process in the next 3 months. The Office of the Registrar regulates and investigates political parties to ensure compliance with the Political Parties Act. And Samburu residents are decrying the loss of livelihoods with the ongoing drought situation. The residents say they have been forced to sell their livestock at throwaway prices. Here are some of the sentiments raised by some of the residents to KTN.
But we are trying to put some organization into the market. We have the livestock marketing associations, which come right from what you are saying, the market.
And the number of elephants in the Mara-Serengeti ecosystem are on the rise due to conservation efforts from the government and various stakeholders. Latest statistics from the Worldwide Fund for Nature indicate that the number has risen from 1,000 in the last 5 years to 3,700. According to Maurice Nyaligu from the WWF African Wildlife Project, poaching still remains the biggest challenge facing elephant conservation in the country. Nyaligu noted that the country was not doing badly in terms of elephant conservation, but was quick to add that there was room for more improvement.
There are several reasons why the last population census of elephants across the Mara-Serengeti landscape led to an increase. Part of the reason has been because of the efforts of several partners involved in the conservation of the African elephant across the range, and also because community members have been very receptive to the idea of tolerance with elephants within their community lands.
And just an update, police in Murang'a County have impounded a lorry that was transporting 6,000 litres of methanol at Makuyu, Murang'a sub-county. Murang'a County Police Commander Naomi Ichami says the consignment was impounded on Saturday night after receiving a tip-off from members of the public. Ichami says traffic stopped the driver of the lorry and discovered the methanol along the Kenol-Sagana highway. The police arrested the driver of the lorry, who said that he was unaware that he was ferrying methanol. I understand we shall have those pictures right after this next story. The Senate Committee on Finance and Budget has censured the National Treasury for allegedly undermining devolution through delays in transfer of funds to the counties. The chairman, Bill Okero, says Treasury is behind schedule by 1 month.
So even as we pass this bill for 2015, there's a provision in that law, as indeed it has been in last year and in the other year's bill, that Treasury submits a schedule for transfer of payments from the consolidated fund to the county revenue fund of each government, each county government. And the law is very clear that before the 15th of every month, Treasury is required to transfer money for county governments to their respective accounts in the central bank. We have a situation now where Treasury is behind schedule by more than 1 month. That in fact the last transfer to the accounts of the county governments is on 30th of April. They published this last week on the papers. Now we want to warn Treasury that it cannot set its own rules. There is a law regarding transfer of money to the county government. And the law, as far as the County Allocation of Revenue Act 2014 is concerned, for the financial year that has just ended, is that before the 15th of every month, Treasury must transfer the allocation for each county to their county revenue fund in the central bank, without any delay. And the Constitution in Article, I think, 219, yes, it's very clear that those transfers shall be made without undue delay and without any deduction. Yes. Treasury cannot lecture county governments on how to use their money, whether they use their money or not, or it stays in their account in the central bank. That is the responsibility of the county government. So that excuse should not be used by Treasury to delay, because what is happening now is some county governments are being forced to borrow money short-term from banks at a cost to the residents of that county.
Also, the Council of Governors says that it will not support the Senate since it is frustrating devolution by interfering with counties' expenditures. Chair Peter Munya says that instead of the Senate protecting public resources, they are directed towards development. The Senate is transferring the sources to recurrent expenditure. Thus, less money for development and more trips abroad will now be frequent by the members of the county assemblies. Munya says that the Senate ignored the High Court's judgment to have the county government set ceilings for recurrent expenditure and proceed to allocate more funds to the county assemblies. He was speaking during the launch of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, KNHCR strategic plan for the year 2015-2018.
We've been very sympathetic, and we have been, even in our push for a referendum, we have been saying one of the things we would want to do is to strengthen the Senate. But the Senate keeps shooting itself on the foot. Every opportunity it gets, everything they do in the Senate, they don't seem to be realizing that they have an obligation and a mandate to protect public interest. They seem to be staying on the wrong side of history.
Let's get into business now. And East African Breweries has appointed Jane Karuku to head its local subsidiary Kenya Breweries following the exit of Joe Muganda last month. Prior to her appointment, Ms. Karuku served as Cadbury Schweppes managing director and brings her together over 20 years of experience in the fast-moving consumer goods market. She joins the business at a time when competition in the beer market is heating up with the entry of multinational brands, despite that EBL still commands 80% of the beer market and is making headway in growing shares of the lower and upper spirits markets. And that story brings us to a close this afternoon. Of course, keep it KTN for these and more updates in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Ian Ofula. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.